Hi guys, well today I thought I would talk about stress. The reason why I decided to talk about stress is that it's come up recently with a new client of mine. So I thought, okay, let's do something about stress. So I'm not sure whether you're aware, but obviously, well, you probably are, because if you're watching this, you're someone who actually wants to take care of their health and well-being. But stress is becoming more and more prevalent in our lives as we move forward, and certainly as we get older, we tend to put ourselves into stressful jobs and work in stressful situations. So one of the things that could cause the stress could be something happening in your life, something happening in your relationship, at home, or more than likely at work, dealing with a colleague, or getting one of those shitty little emails that pricks have a tendency to dump on you when they don't want to deal with the situation themselves. Anyway, so what is stress? Basically, stress is when the body decides to dump cortisol, or the stress hormone, into the system. So how does it work? Well, when you get stressed, the body thinks, oh shit, fight or flight. The hypothalamus comes into action, and basically the hypothalamus tells the adrenal glands to dump cortisol into the body or into the bloodstream. So this cortisol floods the bloodstream, and basically the body then dumps a shit ton of glucose into the bloodstream. This starts that whole fight or flight situation. So suddenly the body's there, it's got all of this sugar or glucose flooding through the system. What cortisol also does, because you're in a fight or flight scenario, it turns off a whole load of parasympathetic systems. So fight and flight is a sympathetic reaction. All right, it's a practice reaction. The body just goes into fight or flight. So it turns off things like the immune system. It turns off digestion and a whole host of other systems that you want to be working as you're going through. And those systems are relied upon for normal, healthy operation of the body. So what happens is, if you can imagine, if your immune system is shut down because of cortisol, you're going to start becoming ill more. And certainly what used to happen is, when guys used to go in to the field gun training in the Navy, they'd be training 3-4 times a day, and their body would go into stress, and that's a physiological stress. And then suddenly they start getting ill. It wasn't because they were unhealthy, they were healthy as, but because there's a whole load of cortisol flowing through their body, the body was in constant fight or flight. And so therefore the parasympathetic systems, like the immune system, were shut down. And that's exactly the same as stress. And it doesn't matter. Some of these stresses can be small things, they can be large things, but you're getting yourself into a stressful scenario. So what you need to do when doing this, and one of the things, just going back a step, that will happen with that, if you think about it, your digestion reduces, so therefore you get an increase in belly fat, all those unhealthy situations that you get. So you start getting ill, you start retaining belly fat, and it doesn't really matter what you're doing at any time, but those are the sorts of things that are going to happen. So you're saying, what can I do to counteract it? And there are some very, very simple things that you can do to counteract those sorts of things. And and these are simple things that you can start bringing into play on a daily basis. Morning. So to get rid of that stress, there's that simple, they call it the two-step breathing technique. So what happens is you take a long deep breath in through the nose, then another one, and then breathe out slowly through the mouth. What this does is it teaches the brain that you're in a relaxed situation, and that then causes the heart rate to reduce. So let's think about it. You go so the two-step breathing, so breathe in deep, and you'll suddenly find that the body, Merlin, come, or the heart rate suddenly starts to reduce. Sorry, just going to get the dog. Merlin, come on, this way. And that's one of the key things to stop. So I'm just going to get the dog. The heart rate increasing and getting too high. And that's an important part when you're looking at stress relief. Is the important thing is getting that heart rate low. So that's the first stage of maintaining that stress relief. The second one, if you think about it, it's a fight or flight situation. The body is still flooded. Only come here, you little dick. Being a pain in the butt. The body is flooded with that glucose. So you need to get rid of it. So you're telling the body, no, we've got rid of that. So what the best thing to do, take yourself for a 20-minute walk. Burn off that glucose, because you're telling the body, tiger's gone. We're no longer stressed. We're no longer in a fight or flight situation. And you've burnt off that excess glucose. One of the next things that you can do is start reconnecting or start resetting your circadian rhythm. And one of the ways to do that is to view sunlight within 30 minutes of waking up. So get into sunlight. I mean, that's one of the fortunate things I have with my job is, mind you, sometimes when I get up in winter, it's a little dark. So you can do that whole set yourself up and get yourself going with the sunlight. And those are some of the things. Merlin, come here. No, we're not going that way. We're going the other way. Certainly some of the things that you can do. Sorry, I'm just setting my watch. Might as well get the benefits. No, it's not a bike. It's a walk. Come on, good boy. To get yourself set up with that whole situation of overcoming the cortisol. The key thing is to be aware of it. And this is why they turn around and say, before you go to bed, don't get yourself in a situation where you're reading emails. Get yourself off devices, because if emails are part of the issue, then you need to make sure that those emails aren't causing you to get into a stressful situation. And that's an important piece. Morning. Come on, Merlin. Let's go. So yes, so that's quite important. So he just enjoys other dogs. Is to get yourself away from all of that, from the cortisol and the stress. And also, obviously, if you think about it, if your body is flooded with the glucose, then actually turning around and exercising will actually get rid of that dump of glucose. Hello, doggy. Hello. Yeah, I know. And that's an important piece. He's very rude sometimes. He just ignores people. So, yeah, that is a simplification of stress. But the key pointers to take away from this are fight and flight, the fact that it actually reduces and stops or lowers your immune defense. It increases your retention of fats, because after you've got the body flooded with this glucose that you don't need in there. So the key thing is get the breathing in. So do your 2-stage breathing. Mama Lynn, we're going this way. Do that exercise, get out and burn that energy off. Get your circadian rhythm back in check, because if the body isn't operating at its optimal level, then you're going to have problems as you go on anyway. And this is what's going to happen as you get older, guys, and you're going to start having more stressful situations, because the roles that you're going to be going to are going to be that much more stressful, because you have more responsibility, you'll have more staff, you'll have a bigger budget that you're actually working with. So if you can start looking after yourself, you can then start helping others with regards to things like being there for your family and the like, which is obviously one of the things that we all want to be there for. Okay, so a very, very simplified approach to stress. But if you start to understand what's causing it and how it acts, then you can change the way that you react to it. Because we're all in a situation where we're reactionary. And if you can change that from being reactive to proactive, you start taking control of what's happening in your life and how you live your life. Okay, guys? So if you can like and subscribe if you're enjoying what we're doing, and also make any comments about things that you want me to talk about in the comments section, and then we can possibly start building this thing to being something that's more helpful to all guys, and all guys who are getting to that sort of stage of 40 plus. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it of interest. I'm thoroughly enjoying doing these, I have to say. It gives me that little bit of a raison d'etre as to what to do. And actually the dog gets probably a couple more, because I'll come out and I'll do a ramble with him just to get him out and about in between clients. And then we'll head back in, and then he'll come back later to have his exercise before I come back in and have my exercise. So that's me dealing with my stress and stresses. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it, and we will chat to you soon. Take care.